Welcome to Brewsers, podcast about beer, coffee, booze, and bruisers. I am your host, Rody John, and today we speak to Brittnie Brooks about how she got into pro wrestling, coming back from an injury, how Nikki Bella / Garcia helped inspire her, and what the future holds for her in pro wrestling. Brittnie has done so much in such a short amount of time. She is a very young, up-and-coming professional wrestler in the industry, and this is a fantastic interview. She is bubbly. She is all over the world and all over the continental United States. Hopefully she can do even more. So, make sure to listen to this interview. But first, make sure to also sign up for our newsletter that is happening anytime. You can just click on the link, put your email in, and then boom, you've got a newsletter with even more information about our guests, what is happening with us, and we're going to be throwing some fun facts in for you. So definitely make sure to sign up for our newsletter. But without further ado, here is Brittnie Brooks. I would like to welcome to the show Brittnie Brooks. How are you doing today, man?
Good. How are you? Thank you so much for having me.
Thanks for coming on. Yeah, I mean, you are started out one of the bright upcoming stars here in the pro wrestling world, and I think that more people need to pay attention to the people coming up, as opposed. I mean, not that we shouldn't be giving any attention to the people on top, but there are people coming up that will help change and mold what the people on top will do and look like in the future, I think.
Yeah, for sure. I love watching the young, my young, I guess, peers or whatever, but, to me, I feel like I'm not to their level yet, but, Billy Starks, Nick Wayne, and, Mia Friday, Bodie in Vegas, they're all just, they're all so good for being, so young.
Right. I mean, Nick Wayne grew up in it, so, that kid, he had no other choice, really. But what he's done in that time has really been, eye-opening and mind-blowing for some people.
For real. I knew about him for a really long time, but, I guess I was never following him on social media for whatever reason. But, I've been following him now for, the past, year, and I'm this dude is amazing. He's so good. Yeah,
and then, him keep winning gold, especially overseas with Progress, and then, being signed with AEW. It's what can't this guy do already?
For real. And Billy, too. Billy has been blowing up ever since he turned 18. And I was girl!
Well, to go back all the way in time, what is your earliest memory of pro wrestling?
My earliest memory is watching it, with my brother. One day I just, walked into his room, and he had something on his TV, and I was like, what is that? And he was like, I don't know, I just saw Dad watching it one day. And I was like, okay. So I sat down and I watched it with him, and it was SmackDown. And it was back, when, I think it was, 2011. And it was, when Cody Rhodes was doing the whole, plastic mask thing, and then the paper bags over people's heads with the cutout eyes. And that's, my first memory is, literally Cody Rhodes. And so, to see, how crazy, just different things are now is, so wild. Because, to me, Cody Rhodes is, the first example of wrestling that I got. And that was just, I was like, I love this. Then I started watching it, and then we found out that there was, we didn't know what pay-per-views were. We didn't know that, we didn't even know about Raw. So, we're just watching it every Friday at first. And then we started being oh, what are they talking about? Because they're always advertising something for Monday. So we started watching it. And then for a while, I was a little kid, so, I had to fight with my parents to let me stay up to watch it every weekend, or every week. So, we used to have to watch it Sunday mornings in Spanish. because it was, I couldn't stay up. I remember when they did I think it was there was a special Raw 100, I think. I don't know, but it was the first the first big Raw thing that they did. And I was like, Mom, please let me stay up and watch it. She's like, no, you have school. And I was I used to go to karate every Monday night. So right after karate, I would literally, like, go home. Like, I would leave karate because I'm like, you have to go watch Raw. So, like, I just loved it. And, yeah.
How did you find out there was other wrestling out there other than WWE?
Okay, literally, I found out when I started wrestling. Like, when I started going to training at the beginning. Like, I didn't even know. Like, I knew of TNA because they always talked about it on my mom used to watch soap operas, so we watched Young and the Restless on this channel called, like, Top TV or something like that. And then Impact had to deal with them, I guess. And so I'd always see advertisements and I would kind of watch it. And I'd be like, oh, that guy used to be in WWE. And then now I, like, look back and I'm like, oh, that guy is in WWE now. So it was just, like, when I started training, and so I was like, oh, because I didn't know indie wrestling was a thing. I didn't know about, like, obviously AEW wasn't around at that time, but I didn't know much about TNA. I knew it existed. But there wasn't, I didn't really know a lot. And, like, that's still, like, crazy to me because now I'm, like, I look at my life, like, 4 years ago before I knew about all this stuff, and now I know, like, a lot of the indie companies everywhere. Like, I know, and obviously because I'm a student of the game, so, like, I should know all this stuff and know where I want to be and where I want to get to and, like, what levels there are in independent wrestling. So, yeah, it's all super new to me.
That's crazy. So what's funny is, so you mentioned that Cody Rhodes got you into wrestling. Dustin Rhodes he was the person that I realized there's other wrestling out there. So I was flipping through the channels and I saw Dustin and I was like, wait a minute, what's he doing? This isn't WWF. And so I'll show my age here. I picked up the TV guide because I was like, okay, what channel is this? We'll figure it out. WCW, what the hell is this? So I started watching, and then I realized there was even more out there, and I was like, I gotta watch all of it. This is amazing. So
I'm, like, so sad that, like, I wasn't alive during that time. Like, people will always make references and stuff, and I know, like, a good amount, but also, like, I don't know everything. Like, had I been watching it in real time, like, the whole, like, WCW, just, like, NWO, like, that whole time period, like, Shawn Michaels, you know, just all of the, like, that era of wrestling, I feel like I so missed out on, and it makes me so sad. Like, obviously I can watch it back, but it's also not the same as, like, being there, because wrestling, to me, like, I'm pretty sure it used to be, like, something that, like, because whenever I tell, like, people that are adults, like, oh, I'm a professional wrestler, like, my teachers or whatever, they're like, I loved that as a kid. So many people say that, and now I'm just, like, I feel like not as many people watch it or know about it as, like, it used to be. But, like, I think that there's so many outlets now that people do know about it. It's just they're like, still learning too.
yeah, so I've watched it since I was like 3 or 4, and you know, I'm synonymous with pro wrestling. So if anybody knows me, they know I love pro wrestling, and so I'll get random clips now from people that I know for a fact don't watch wrestling, but it comes up on their TikTok or their Twitter or whatever, and they'll send stuff to me, like, you know, the Vikingo spot that he did with in GCW. I had so many people send me that. I was like, what is this? And I was like, oh yeah, that's the AAA Mega Champion, blah, blah, blah. That dude's nuts. But like you're saying, back in the day, I mean, yeah, people kind of watch live now with Raw and SmackDown, but back then, like, at 7 o'clock or 7:05, whatever you're doing stops because it is time for wrestling, and then, you know, Raw didn't start again until 8, so you had an hour of, normally they would do the Cruiserweights, the Rey Mysterios, the Chris Jerichos, and then once 8 o'clock happened, that's when, like, they were like, okay, we're in compete mode, we got to have Hulk Hogan, NWO, all the big things. And so then you are, as a fan, are switching back and forth, and you're trying not to miss what you actually want to watch as opposed to what's actually on. And you have to wait week after week just to know what's going on. And in the beginning, there wasn't a second show. So everything was Monday, and then it was pay-per-views. And so, like, that world was a lot of fun. Because also there was at the time, the internet was so young that it wasn't a thing to have the dirt sheets kind of ruin everything. Like now, if they can get away with a surprise, it's good because most times you can't. And, you know, I think that's maybe one of the bad things about pro wrestling and the internet. But the other good thing is, like I said, you have people that don't watch that it'll come up on their TikTok or they'll come up on their Twitter feed or whatever. So, I mean, there's good and bad stuff.
Yeah, and especially nowadays, like, with so many, like, different, like, WWE, I think, does an incredible job of incorporating outside people like Bad Bunny and, like, Logan Paul, because it's, like, people know who they are, and when they're like, oh, what is this? Like, it brings people in, which I think is amazing. Like, Snoop Dogg, like, if you just look at WrestleMania, like, all the stars that were there, and that's what I was going to talk about, too, like, how there used to only be wrestling on one day. Now you go and you have WrestleMania weekend, and there's, like, 30 shows, like, between the indies and just Impact and, like, oh my goodness, like, it was wild, and I couldn't even keep up with what was going on, like, what shows were happening, and I was like, I think it's just incredible, because it's like now so many more wrestlers are given more opportunities because there's just so much out there. It's a lot for people to consume, but at the same time, it also just makes it so then people are able to, like, grow more, and, like, more eyes are on, like, younger talent and younger, like, people who are just getting started. So, like, I really appreciate that.
You're 100% with that because, like, so my buddy and I this was our 14th WrestleMania, and
wow.
It's so amazing to watch how much, like you said, that it's not even a weekend anymore. It's literally a week. Like, it will start Wednesday night, and then it wraps up like Monday night after Raw, which this year wasn't the best, but, I think you greater. But like you said, like during the weekend, I had the thought, I was like, every year there is at least one or two wrestlers that the spotlight is on them, or like they really break out. Like this year, I think Mike Bailey, which not that he, was breaking out. I mean, he was breaking out even more than he was, and he was already becoming a very household name. And then you had Vikingo, who also had a crazy weekend where I think he wrestled 3 times in one night. Same thing with Mike Bailey. Like, it was just, I love seeing how much talent can work with each other and actually be able to get that spotlight.
Yeah, for sure. I was looking at, I think I saw a tweet where it was like the people who had the most matches WrestleMania weekend, and I was just shocked by the numbers that, like, Mike Bailey had and, like, some other people. I was like, dang, like, that is so many.
Yeah. And they were all great. Like, it wasn't any of them that you were like, you could probably skip that one. It's not that good. No, they were all fantastic. Like, Mike Bailey doesn't really put on a bad match. And, like, again, him and Vikingo, like, tore the house down. GCW has done a fantastic job about really helping to showcase younger talent or or the hottest stars in the independent world. And then you have, they kick the weekend off, or the week off, I should say, Wednesday night with Bloodsport. And Bloodsport is so much fun if you're into that kind of, like, wrestling, grappling, that kind of thing, because there's no ropes. And you had Kota Ibushi make his return to pro wrestling at Bloodsport. So, people were losing their minds over that. And then the rest of the week hadn't even started, or happened yet. So, for them, maybe that was, the biggest thing that would have happened for them in the entire week was watching Kota Ibushi come back. But then you have, 5 other days of awesome pro wrestling.
Yeah, I aspire to be in GCW. That is, one that I want to do so bad. I just want to be so good to the point where, I do end up working there because I just love GCW and I love watching it. And so I really, really hope to make it there one day.
I believe you can. I mean, you're very talented, and you just keep at it. And I think that Brett and Joey will definitely probably give you a call.
That would be amazing.
Yeah. So how did you get into wrestling? We know how you got into watching wrestling, but how did you finally make that decision? You know what? I'm going to go train to be a pro wrestler.
So I was 14 years old when I came across Arizona Wrestling Federation. So like I said, I didn't know indie wrestling was a thing. I didn't know that you could train to be a wrestler. I knew that the performance